everyone, this is Brian from activemelody.com. Well, you're going to want to put your picks away this week because this week we have a two-part fingerstyle lesson. So I'm going to show you how to play a fingerstyle rhythm and a fingerstyle lead. And the rhythm part is played is what I used as the jam track. So the jam track that comes with this week's lesson, the MP3 file that you can practice along with, I'm going to show you how to play that, and that'll be its own lesson. And that's what we're going to learn in this video. But if you want to learn how to play the lead part, which is what I played in the intro video, you're going to want to go to activemelody.com and look for EP072, and you'll be able to watch the second video part. And I'll show you how to play the lead. I'll also put up the tablature for both parts, for both the rhythm and lead, and the jam track, so you can practice along. Actually, there'll be two jam tracks. There'll be one jam track that has just the lead and one jam track that has just the rhythm, so you can practice the parts. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so let me explain what guitar I'm using first real quick. This is a 1979 Takamine guitar. Not super high-end, but I bought this off a guy back maybe 20 years ago. A guy I worked with, his roommate had stepped on it, and so the head was actually cracked. It was like this. And so I took it to this guy in Gainesboro, Tennessee, a little small woodworker, and he put in a little splint here and fixed it, and I've been using it ever since. And so it's just a great playing guitar. And so I think I paid the guy maybe, I don't know, $50 for the guitar in its broken state, and it was maybe another 20 or 30 to get it fixed. So I've got years of enjoyment out of it. So always look for deals. They're out there. Usually if you can find a broken guitar, it may not be as big a deal as you might think to fix it. So, okay, so this is a nylon string, so you'll notice the neck's a little wider. You don't have to have a nylon string guitar or classical guitar to play this. If you've got just a regular steel string acoustic, that'll be fine. Or even electric. This would work on electric. Either way. The reason that somebody asked me, I got an email just last week as to why do fingerstyle players prefer guitars like this with a wider neck, and it's because you have a little more room, a little more spacing between each string. So when you think about it, your fingers kind of line up. With my right hand here, they kind of line up with each string, and you have more room to kind of put your fingers in there, as opposed to these thinner necks. You're more crammed, and so that's why. All right, so the chords. There's 4 chords in this. There's a G chord. There's an E 7th chord. And I'm going to show you how to play all these and how to do all the right hand stuff in just a second. There's an A 7th chord. And then there's a D 7th chord. You may know a D 7th like this, but I'm going to show you how to play one like this. And those are the 4 chords, and then it's back to the G. And so so if you're new to fingerstyle playing, don't hesitate from trying to jump in on this one. This would actually be a good lesson, even if you've never done it. You've always kind of wanted to do it. This would be a good one because it's really pretty straightforward, and it's got all the elements of traditional fingerstyle. It's got the alternating bass, so your thumb. What happens with fingerstyle? Your thumb ends up being your bass guitar player. Think of it that way. And then your fingers become your melody or your lead, or your other fingers rather. And so you're kind of doing both parts at once. And in the beginning, it's a lot like patting your head and rubbing your stomach. It's just a coordination thing that seems awkward, but it's a muscle memory thing. If you keep at it, it'll click. It clicks faster for some people. It took me a long time, but it does eventually work. Okay, so the first thing that I do is this. That's the first thing we're going to learn. You could actually keep that going, just so the chord, it's the G chord. So here's how I'm doing it. Now I always think of the bass part first. It's easier to explain this way. Actually, before we get into the right hand, let me show you what the left hand's doing. So I'm making a G chord. Now this is how I'm making it. I've got my pinky down on the 2nd string on the 3rd fret to make this note. Then I've got my ring finger on the 3rd fret 6th string all the way up here. And then I've got my middle finger down on the 2nd fret 5th string. And that's how I'm making the G. Now I'm not playing that high E string or the 1 string for this. I'm just playing those strings 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's all the left hand is doing for that. Now the right hand, we're going to start with the bass, what the thumb is doing. So the thumb goes like this. And it's just alternating back and forth between those two strings. Now if you're a thumb pick player, I've never been able to do thumb pick. I've tried it over and over again, and I swear I'm going to never do it again. Every time I try it, and I always kind of come back to it. But anyway, I've actually developed a callus right here on my thumb from playing fingerstyle. You know, because I don't use a thumb pick. So if you do have a thumb pick, you might want to use that on this lesson. But that's what I do, is I just sort of pluck those two strings. So we're going to start with that. Then we're going to work in. Let me do that slowly. So what we're doing here is notice the rhythm of the alternate bass there, the back and forth. It's just it never drops. It keeps a constant the whole time. Regardless of what the middle finger and pointer finger are doing. So here are the notes that I'm playing outside of the bass. I'm playing this. Pretty easy. So I use my my middle finger rather on the second string. My pointer finger on the third string. So I'm just going strings 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 2. This stays the same the whole time, so you can ignore the left hand once you have it fretted. So it's just 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 2. Now let's put the two pieces together. Let me do it slowly. Here's how you got to think of it. So the first time you come down, you're playing both of those at the same time. So the thumb on the sixth string, middle finger on the second string. We're going to pluck both of those at the same time. Then the thumb comes up and grabs that string 3 or string 4 rather. Now we're going to watch this. So pay attention to, this is how I always think of fingerstyle. And do it real slow in the beginning. Pay attention to which strings come together at the same time and which ones alternate. That's really, it's always a combination of that. There's always the two that hit at the same point, and then there's the sort of the staggered effect of the ones that are being played individually. You'll see what I mean when I'm explaining this. So it's these two are at the same time. Now everything else in this G chord is going to be individual notes. See, listen. See how they were all independent of each other? And then once you get it up to tempo, sounds like that. Don't move on to the next chord until you've got that down. Just get the right hand doing its thing. And I'm really just using these three fingers. It's just my middle finger, I'm sorry, my thumb, and my pointer finger, and my middle finger. Okay, now you may want to rewind the video and watch that several times until you can get that. But here it is one more time, slowly. You're also going to want to make sure, definitely check out the tablature. That's probably the easiest way to look at it because it's all there on the tab, and you can study it and print it off and do what you got to do. So the next chord we come to is the E7th chord, and it sounds like this. So let's get the left hand first, and once you get that in place, you just set that, and then we'll come over to the right hand. So to make the E7th chord, it's just an E chord. I'm going to assume you know how to make an E chord. There's lots of material online if you don't. And then after you make your E chord, you take your pinky and you come over here and push down on the 3rd fret 2nd string. And by adding that note, you have an E7th chord. You can see how a 7th chord always sounds kind of bluesy. So when you hear like an A7, E7, D7, you can hear how it has kind of a little bit of a more of a bluesy sound. I always think of it as 7th chord as a transitional chord too. It tells your ear that you're about to go to something else. So that's kind of how I think of it. Okay, so that's the left hand with the E7. So here's what the right hand's doing. Again, we're going to pay attention to which notes we play at the same time and which ones are played individually. This time, and so remember the G chord, we only had that first one we played at the same time, the 2 and the 6th string. This time we have 3 that are played at the same time. Let me call them out. So we have this one, we have this one, and we have this one. So at 3 points during the E7th chord, you're playing 2 strings at once. So let's learn those. So the first one is the same that we did in the G7th. Or in the G rather. We're playing the 2 string and the 6 string at the same time. So we're starting with that, and we're going to use our middle finger on the 2, thumb on the 6. Now we're going to use our our pointer finger and our thumb to come up here, and we're going to grab these middle 2 strings. So I'm going to play string. My thumb is going to be on string 4. My pointer finger is going to be on string 3. We're going to pluck them at the same time. So let's do both of those at the same time. Sorry. That's what we have so far. Now I'm going to play this. These are single notes. So it's the 1 string, and I use my ring finger for that. Come up here and grab the 1 string with my ring finger. Thumb on the 6th string. So thus far we have. And then we close it with this. So I play with my middle finger on the 2nd string, another single note. Now we're going to play 2 at the same time again. It's the same 2, so same middle 2 strings, so strings 3 and 4, and we're going to use a thumb on 4, pointer finger on 3, like this. That'll be the last one that we do. So let me do all that slowly. Here's what it sounds like. Hear the thumb? Hear the bass? That bass is the constant in this. That's what you would tap your foot to. Alright, so now we're going to switch to the A7th chord. And this one has a little bit of a lead part as well, a little bit of a melody. Here's how this one's going to sound. So something interesting happened. Now the thumb switched this time. Before I was just going between, string 6 and 4, 6 and 4, like. Now when we come to this chord, this A7th, watch what happens. So the thumb switched. That's hard to say. The thumb switched this time, and now we're going to place the order like this. These will be the string numbers: 5, 4, 6, 4. 5, 4, 6, 4. 5, 4, 6, 4. So that's how we're going to play the right hand, the bass. Let me show you the chord. It's actually really easy to do. This is how I play an A7th. For this, I use my middle finger on the 2nd fret, 4th string. And my ring finger, we're going to skip a string now. My ring finger is on the 2nd fret, 2nd string. And we're only going to play those middle, well actually it's not the middle 4, it's the 5 strings. We're going to not play on the 6th string. So that's another way to play an A7th chord. Okay, so now here's what's going to make this different, this little melody part. It's going to be a little walk down that goes. So in addition to fretting here with the left hand, we're going to take our pinky and we're going to come up here and play on the 3rd fret, 1st string. Then I'm going to slide my pinky down so that it's also in the 2nd fret, but on the 1st string. And then I'm going to take it off the fretboard and play just the 1st string open. So let me put the pieces together and you'll hear that little melody. Let me do it again. Now some of you, if you're used to playing fingerstyle, you're probably like, alright dude, go on, we get it. But if you're new to this, I know you're feeling pain at this point because you're thinking, wait a minute, you just switched the melody, you switched the order with the thumb. This is like memory overload or muscle memory overload. And it does seem that way when you first learn this, but that's why you don't get discouraged if I make it look really smooth and really easy. It's just because I've been doing it for a while, but you'll be able to get there too. You just got to kind of stick with it. It depends on how bad you want it. If you really want to be able to do this, you can do it. It's just going to take practice, and all of a sudden it just works. It's the weirdest thing. I never have figured that out with muscle memory. It's just you struggle with it for a long time, and all of a sudden one day you pick it up and it's just there, and something in your brain fuses. Something connects, and then it stays connected. So let's start this with the thumb then. So we know what the left hand is going to do. And the thumb, like I said, is going to play 5, 4, 6, 4. So that's the pattern of the thumb. Now I'm going to call out which strings we're going to play together and which ones are going to be on their own. So we're going to start with the 5 string and the 2 string played together. So I'm using my thumb on the 5, my middle finger on the 2. I'm going to pluck both of those at the same time. And remember, this is we're keeping these two down to make this A7th for now. So don't worry about the left hand just yet. Now, after I play that, then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to pinch these middle 2 strings. I'm going to play string 4 with my thumb and 3 with my pointer finger, like that. So now we've got those 2 at the same time, these 2 at the same time. Now we get into the single notes. Now I'm going to come up here. Remember, we're going to use our pinky on the 3rd fret 1st string. After I play that, then I'm going to come and play the 6th string, the open 6th string with my thumb. So let's start back up to that point. We have. Let's just do that over and over again until it starts to feel right. Now after that, then I come up here and I play the 2nd string by itself, and then I pinch strings 3 and 4 again with my thumb and pointer finger. So let me play it all up to that point. See how when you slow it down, it doesn't make sense? It seems awkward, but when you hear it up to tempo, it works. But what you're doing, if you analyze, there's a lot going on at this point, because you've already done this thing with your thumb where you're jumping between strings 5 and 4 and 6 and 4. That's already happened. See? Over time, I'm telling you, you'll just be able to do it. It'll just feel right, and it's very comfortable. It doesn't feel strained. Now after that, then we're going to come up here. Watch, this is where my pinky slides down to the 3rd fret 1st string, and we play. Now watch what happened there. The first thing that I did was play strings 5 and 1. See how I play those at the same time? Using my ring finger on 1 and my thumb on 5. Middle finger on 2. And then there's that pinch again to play strings 3 and 4 at the same time. So after that, then I take my pinky off the fretboard and I play this. So you can see there's some single notes there. There's the 1 string, played with my ring finger. 1. There's the 6th string, played with my thumb. There's the 2 string, played with my middle finger. So we have all single notes. And then we come together again, pinching those middle 2 strings, 3 and 4, as we've done before. Okay, let's put all that together. Again, if you've got the tablature, this will be a lot easier. And now that I've at least called out which fingers go on which strings, it's just a matter of looking at the tab. Alright, so let me play through this just a few times. I'll play through it slowly so you can watch it. So there you go. That's what that A seventh part sounds like. That's the trickiest part in the whole thing. Okay, so up to this point we have... Now we come to the D seventh part, which sounds like this. Let's break that down. Now, a lot of you know how to make a D seventh like this. Well, this is a different way to do it because you actually have an F sharp note in the bass. And here's how I do it. So I make the D seventh like this, like we normally would. Then I take my ring finger off it. So now I've got these two fingers left. My pointer finger, middle finger. I take my middle finger and I go ahead and swap it so that I don't go through this logic each time, but this is how I'm telling you how to make it. So then I've got my ring finger down here on the 2nd fret, 3rd string, which frees up my middle finger to come down here and play on the 6th string, 2nd fret, which is that F sharp note. And now when you play that bass note along with these other strings, you have this kind of a nice... It's a nice way to play a D seventh where we've got a note in the bass. Otherwise, the lowest note you have here is really that D, and it's kind of high up. So it's to get a lower version, you come down and play an F sharp. And it allows you, the most important reason you do that is it allows you to be able to mechanically now alternate between two strings. If you don't have that, if you're just playing the D up here, you're only going to be able to jump back and forth between string 4 and 3, and that's getting pretty high on the neck, and it limits what you have above that. Then you've only got 2 strings above it, whereas if I do this, I've got 3 strings. So hopefully that makes sense as to the logic as to why you'd put that F sharp in the bass. Okay, so what this one does is it starts off on the 6th string. So the bass notes are going to be, when we've done this before, it's going to be bouncing back and forth between the 6th string and the 4th string, like this. Okay, so the first thing we do is we start on the 6th string, and then we're going to play 2 strings at once. Here's one of those. So we're going to play strings 2 and 4, and I use my thumb on 4 and my middle finger on 2. So after we play these 2 notes, there's 2 single notes. Now we're back to the 6th string. That's one of the single notes by itself. And then we're going to play string 3 by itself. And then we're going to play, actually there's 3 single notes. Then we're going to play the 4th string again by itself with the thumb. So that's what we have so far. So after we have this, then I played. See what I'm doing there? It's just a pull-up. So I just take that D7 shape and we're going to play strings 6 and 2 at the same time. And as soon as I do that, to create the next single note, I just do a pull-off with my pointer finger. Kind of flick the string as I pull it off, and it creates a note. So now after that, then I'm going to go ahead and pinch these middle 2 strings again, strings 4 and 3. Now the last notes are all going to be single notes. So now I'm going to play string 2, string 6, string 3, and string 4. So hear those last 4 notes, how they're all single strings? Like that. So hopefully that D7th is starting to make sense. Let me play through it slowly. Alright, so let me back up. Here's what we have. Then we're back to the G. Now when I come back to the G, and remember the first time I put my pinky down on the 3rd fret 2nd string, this time I'm not. I'm only going to put down my middle finger on the 2nd fret 5th string and my ring finger on the 3rd fret 6th string, because I don't actually need to play anything else. It's just those two. I'm just going to be playing in here. So really string 6, 5, 4, 3, and 2. I'm not going to even bother with string 1 on this. So the fretting then with the left hand is actually really easy. You just those 2 fingers, and then here's what the right hand does. It goes. So the bass notes, we're going to go between the 6th string and the 4th string again. We've already done that. And here's what the melody part sounds like. It goes. Really easy. It's just strings 2 and 3, and every time I play the 2 string, I'm going to use my middle finger, and every time I play the 3 string, I'm going to use my pointer finger. So let me call out those string numbers. It's 2, 3, 2. Wait, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. So it's kind of like a reverse. It goes 3 or 2, 3, 2. 3, 2, 3. It's hard to do that for some reason. Hear how it fits in with the bass part? Let me call out which strings we're going to play together. Now the first 2, string 6 and string 2, are played at the same time. Then my thumb comes up and grabs string 4. Pointer finger on string 3, thumb back on string 4, or thumb back on string 6 rather. So we have. Now we're playing on string 2, string 4. So see how the single notes? The only thing we've done together was that first one, that one. Everything else has been single notes. Now we're going to play 2 again at the same time, this time. And for that, it's going to be string 3 and 6. Alright, so after we play the 3 and the 6 at the same time, everything else is going to be all single strings. See, listen. Let me do it again. Let me call out those strings. I'll just call out the string numbers. So after that, then we have 4, 2, 6, 3, 4. Alright, so let me try it again. We have these 2 at the same time. Then you have 4, 2, 6, 3, 4. You can start to feel the timing of it. So let me play that whole final G part. So it goes. Let me do it again. See how the thumb just stays constant? Let me play through the whole piece just so you can see this with just the bass part. See how it just stays right on the notes, right on the beat. All right, so that's the entire rhythm piece. Now let me back up and play through the whole thing and we'll be done. Here we go.